Whoa, good start. Hello everyone and welcome to
whatever the hell this is.
So thank you all for coming over to my channel. This is the first video that I've uploaded and there's just a few problems already.
The first one, this earring is bigger than this earring. I don't know why. And I've just waxed my eyebrows, so they're just starting to come up a bit red.
So I thought this was how to appropriately introduce myself to the world of YouTube, like a mess. But for anyone who does not follow me on Instagram already, my name is Emily and I have been a makeup artist since I was 11.
Makeup artist was questionable back when I was 11.
But that's when my passion for makeup started and I've continued forth since then, and I've worked on makeup counters at MAC and I've also been self-employed as a makeup artist for a long time. It's my biggest passion in this here life and I love it so very much, and I wanted to share my knowledge with you and potentially help some people out with makeup in a way that I hope is slightly more understandable. So yeah, a lot of people on Instagram asked me to do this, so that was why I've done it, even though I feel but my hair's gonna explode. What I wanted to do for my first video, I asked on my Insta story
at Emily Carman MUA, if you don't already follow,
what you all wanted to see, and I got such a variation of different responses that I thought my best bet was to do a full face of frequently asked questions so that I can offer you insight into every single step of your makeup in areas that I know a lot of people struggle with. Yeah, I hope you all like it and let's get straight into it. So question number one that I get all of the time is, why do I do my eyes before my base? What you'll normally find with eyeshadow is that, especially if you're using any darker colours or colours that have a lot of pigment in them, the more pigment a colour has, the softer it's been pressed when it's been made in the factory. So you'll find that you get more fallout, which is basically little flecks of eyeshadow that fall down onto your cheek. So that's why I do the eyes first, because if I have done a really dark black smoky eye and I've already done the most perfect base, I'm gonna have to literally take a wipe and wipe off the beauty.
I hate to wipe off the beauty.
Not for me, so I do my eyes first. Here we are, all up close and personal. I would say the most common eye look that I get asked how to do is a smoky eye. Can I just say, a smoky eye can mean so many different things.
It can be a more glam Instagram kind of look, it can be full black smokes, it can be soft smoke, so it can be like browns that are actually really quite natural. A smoky eye covers so many areas.
But I would say the kind of traditional dark and brown smoky eye is what I get most often. Any products that I use will be down in my description box as opposed to going through them all with you today. If you want a dedicated video on products, just ping it in the comments down below. Okay, so step one is priming the eyes, and what that basically means is taking a concealer or base of your choice and just popping that over the entire lid all the way up to the brow bone. I also take that underneath the eye, but not as much as I've put on the top because I don't want to accentuate any creasing down here. Okay, now we have my bald eyes. What I'm going to be taking is a MAC 239, which is a small domed shadow brush. And I'm gonna go in with my Jaclyn Hill palette. If you don't have this palette, I would say it's one of the most beginner and advanced friendly palettes in the universe. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is take this dark matte brown on the MAC brush, and what I'm gonna do is just start packing that all over my lid. People ask me all the time, how do I know where my lid starts and my crease stops, especially if you don't have really deep set eyes where the crease is really obvious. And my tip for that is to look down into your mirror, because when you look down you can see a shadow, and that shadow is where your crease naturally sits. So don't take this dark brown any higher than that shadow. So this next step is kind of a personal preference thing for me, but it's also something that I think is really sexy with a smoky eye, and that is to wing the shadow out. So I can actually utilize the shape of this domed brush because it's flatter on top, and what I'll do is literally start creating a line up towards my brow. Be messy, you don't have to be totally precise with this because all of this colour is going to be blended out. You'll see when I kind of look forward, it's got this kind of winged look to it. Now I'm taking a Morphe M506, which is a tapered blending brush, and I'm taking a kind of warm orangey shade just to warm this colour up a bit. And this is going to be my blend. So what I like to do is what I always call clipping the edge of the shadow. So as you can see, I'm taking this brush with next to no pressure and I'm just creating really small little circles at the very edge of where I put that brown. Really, I can't even explain, like hardly any pressure on the eye. Do you see how like hardly the skin is moving when the brush touches it? That's because the pressure is so slight on the eye. So with a smoky eye, I like to start blending around the middle towards the tail of this kind of triangle shape. And I actually tend to leave this part right up until the very end because I don't want that to be as blended as this. By keeping that front part slightly less blended, it really helps to give that kind of winged cat-like effect to the smoky eye. If you have some tissue paper near you, wipe some of this pigment off on the tissue paper. If you're me and you're trash, just wipe it off on the back of your hand. Now your brush will have a little bit of that product on it, but not as much. And you're going to do the exact same thing that you just did, clipping the edge of the colour, and you're going to do that with the shade you just applied, this blending shade. Another thing you're going to want to do is just take that brush and in small circles again, just kind of blend out that edge on the outer corner, just because you don't want that to be crazy sharp and everything else really blendy. So now I'm taking a Morphe M456 and I'm just mixing those two colours that I just used on my brush, and I'm just going to pat in between them to make that transition completely seamless. Now I'm patting again with the gentlest of pressures, just so that a really small amount goes onto the eye. What this does is it almost like just spots a little bit of the pigment in any areas that may be kind of gappy. So if you've had a bit of a bad blend, or you can see that in one area it's darker and then it goes a bit lighter and then it goes a bit darker, this is just kind of fills in any blending mistakes and gaps. So now I'm going to go back in with the M506, but obviously I patted off most of the pigment, and now I'm just going to go in and with, again, the softest, most gentle pressure, I'm just going to blend out the very edge at the front of the eye. I don't want this to be as blended as the outer corner because we've really blown that out at this point, but I just want it so that it doesn't look like it's a harsh line. Now my favourite thing to do with a smoky eye is add a few different textures, so I don't necessarily like an all matte look. And all I'm going to do with this is really gently pat it on in the front half of my lid. And I'm packing this on in thin layers so that I really have control over the intensity of it. I don't want the shimmer to be completely overbearing, but I definitely want it to be seen. Another tip is not to overly wet your brush. If your brush is too wet, then it can actually take away from the shadow you've put on underneath. So just spray your brush maybe 1 or 2 times on each side. Why do people think it's appropriate to talk outside my window?
I can't boil to death in this home. I have to have that window open. I can't have the fan on because it's too loud. So either I roast and toast or you be quiet.
Now for the lower lash line, I'm just going to take the initial brown on the exact same brush that I used, and I'm just going to follow right from the edge of that shadow to about 1/3 of the way into the eye. Make sure when you're doing this to really like hit in between the lower lashes as well. And then again, taking your blendy brush with a small amount of that warm orange on it just to tie all the colours in, just take the very edge of what you just applied and just in small circles start to blend out. And then I'll just take that shimmer just in the inner 1/3 of the lower lash line. Chuck on some liner of your choice, and this is pencil liner inside your waterline. If you have green eyes like me, or if you have blue eyes, do not use black, use brown. It will make your eye colour pop so much. A really nice one is Costa Riche from MAC, or I think there's one called Teddy as well, which is really nice. The last little step is to take the M431 from Morphe, which is a pencil brush, and some highlighter, and just tap that into your inner corner to brighten everything up. I'm also going to just take a little bit of that beneath my brow, and then take my little Morphe domed concealer brush and just blend that out a bit. Okay, now take your wipe, and this is what I mean by fallout. This would all be on your cheek. Now lovey, if you just took some mascara on, that would be wonderful. Now I am fully mascaraed, I'm going to apply my lashes. A lot of people ask about how to apply your false lashes. Mine are dirty. You might be able to see that there is some like residue from previous wear of the lashes. Most of that you can get off if you just take a brow spoolie and just go at the lashes, just really brush them through. Most of the eyeshadow will come off like that. I've just taken some lash glue and just applied it to the band of the lash.
Red alert, red alert.
If you're using Eyelure eyelash glue, the white stuff, throw it in the bin, throw it in the bin. Eyelure eyelashes are lovely, but Eyelure eyelash glue is horrendous, so don't use that. So I always use tweezers and I look down into my mirror. I hold my tweezer in the very middle of the lash and I pop the middle down first. Then I'll come in at the outer corner and fix that edge down. And then last of all, I'll just come in and push down that inner corner. I'll leave that on for maybe 30 seconds and then I'll take what I call the bum end of my tweezer, close my eye and just start pushing any of that excess glue across the entire lash band. So it's almost like any areas that need a little bit of extra glue or a little bit of reinforcement, they kind of get a little bit of that tacky glue on top, so it'll make sure the lash stays perfect. Okay, that is literally one eye done.
What?
So I'm going to go in and do the exact same thing on this side so that I don't look like I'm asleep on this side, and then I'll be back. And just like that, she's smoky. So, skin. My most frequently asked question ever is, how do I get flawless skin? How do I cover my spots? How do I make my pores look small? Anything to do with making your skin look absolutely flawless. I'm going to be totally candid with you and say, if you are of the group of people who have acne prone or blemish prone skin and they're cystic, or if they're just genuinely quite raised bumps, makeup cannot change any bumps on your face. If there's texture there, it's likely that you will see the texture. It's just the way that it is. The way you can combat it is with your skincare routine, or going to see your GP and talking to a dermatologist, somebody who can help you with your skin. But also what I want to say is skin is not flawless. People say to me all the time, oh my god, your skin looks so flawless. No, it doesn't. I have hair on my face. I have pores on my cheeks. I have bumps on my nose. I have little like milk spots underneath my eyes. My skin is not flawless, it's not flawless at all, but I find the application of product, if the application's flawless, that's normally what people mean. You've got to work with yourself and be like, okay, what does flawless mean to me? Is it something that I can fix with makeup, or is it something that I have to fix mentally and be like, do you know what, it's actually not a problem of having pores on my cheeks, it's not that big a deal.
Was that inspirational? Because I feel inspired.
But in general, if you do have not a raised spot but a flat kind of spot or blemish, you can see this guy is ruling the roost on the face. An easy way to do it is just take a really fast dry in, high coverage concealer, pat it only over the area. Now I'll leave that there to kind of set in the skin so it's not so liquidy for about a minute, and then I'll just go in and tap in the edges and then apply foundation as usual. Because that's dried, that won't be moved by putting the foundation on top, and it just obviously is another layer of coverage. So I've just zoomed in a little bit for my skin, so I'm going to take my foundation. Again, my products will be down below. So I'll show you my tips for what I think people mean by flawless skin. And my biggest tip for this that I learned at one of my MAC training courses was that obviously everyone has peach fuzz and hair on their face.
Although I think microblading is like a massive thing now, so unless you're microbladed, you're soft, smooth and baby bum skinned.
But for the ones of us that aren't, take yourself a flat brush, and when you're applying your foundation, you want to apply it in the direction that your hair naturally grows. So I'll just take my foundation brush with my foundation on it and cover my whole cheek going in that direction. Once that's applied, then you just take your foundation sponge and then just literally pat it out with a really gentle motion. Don't swipe because that will take away coverage. Literally just pat up and down on the skin.
I said to my boyfriend before I did this, babe, be quiet please, because I'm going to be doing a video now. Yeah, no problem. He's in there shouting Motown.
No real tips when it comes to your neck, just put it on. Another thing that I don't do is I don't apply a lot of foundation underneath my eye, because I find that the more product you put on beneath the eye, the more prone it is to creasing, and obviously creasing isn't necessarily flawless. Okay, so another massive question that I constantly get is, how do I contour? Tell me how to contour. I don't know how to contour. And what a lot of people don't understand is that contouring is shadow and light. So contour isn't just putting the brown on your cheeks.
Right now, I am a potato saucepan. I am just a big flat bob of a head. Like, I'm a pizza, I am a moon. I'm nothing else.
But once I've added in all my shades and my lights and my darks, and I add a bit of warmth back into the skin.
Oh, they're going to try it. You are going to be so good looking. They're not going to understand.
So I'm taking my concealer. It is lighter than my foundation. I actually pat it on the tops of my cheekbones as opposed to right underneath my eye. Again, I don't like too much product beneath the eye. I'll pop a little bit down the nose, a little bit just on the centre of the forehead, a little bit in the centre of the chin, and then a little bit on the cupid's bow as well. Grab your sponge. I do a line up the face first and foremost. So I do my chin, then my lip, then my nose, and my forehead, and I leave the eyes, I leave the concealer underneath the eyes longer than anything else. The longer you leave the concealer on, the drier that it's going to be, and therefore the more coverage it's going to have. Hello?
You done?
No.
Use my comb as well.
You gave it to me!
Oh, the black one.
Black.
Brush, the big one.
Oh, that's not a comb. Yeah, I did use it, and do you know what? I fucking wish I hadn't, because
It's all jelly.
it was all jelly.
Yeah, no.
No. Okay, now it's time to add in the dark shades and also the rosy kind of cheeks as well. So I've said it before, I'll say it again. I'm not embarrassed to say it anymore. I use orange eyeshadow as bronzer.
Because I don't want to look dead anymore. I just don't. I spent years looking dead because I was using what everyone online was telling me to do, these grey toned contour shades. Everyone told me to use them. I did because they told me to, and I just looked dead in all my pictures.
Like, I wouldn't use a shade like this where it's like a warm orangey brown. You want it to be like a true orange. Where your top of your ear is, you want to kind of carry that line on down as if you could see an imaginary line from the top of your ear to the end of your mouth. And also when I apply this, I go in an upwards motion like that, almost in like a little C shape, or like a Nike tick. Good shape. Now I'm really big on colour story, so whatever I do on my cheeks I like to pull onto my forehead. Then you can go in with a grey tone right underneath your jawline, and that will make you look a little bit less like a fat wobbler than what I am. So another frequently asked question is, where the hell do I put my blush? So again, I make this kind of weird face. When my boyfriend sees me do this in the mirror, he's like, you alright? And all I like to do is just dot it. Where you have these like lines here, you see these like V-shaped lines, dot the blush there, and then just brush it back towards, again going upwards, towards the edge of the ear. Now, don't we all want to know how to highlight like a goddess? This is the Morphe M441, and I'm just coating that with my highlighter, and then I'm going to create a little dot about midway through the cheek, and then I'm just going to knock off some excess and just use that dot to kind of pull it forward. And then I start to circle it back towards the brow bone as well in Rihanna's little C shape that she always talks about, and then always on the upper lip so it can make a straight line on the end, and then a straight line down the middle. So I do get a ridiculous amount of questions on how to do brows. It's one of the hardest things as a makeup artist to explain, because unless I am looking at your eyebrows and I have my brush to your brow, it's so hard to explain how it's done. You need different models to explain those different things. So I'll get a couple of models together. I'll get some of my beautiful friends who I'm sure will help me out, and I'll show you on different brows the different techniques.
But I recognise that that's your question. It has been recognised.
But I think I could teach you more if I got more people. It's isolation at the moment, so that video's not coming yet, but it will come as soon as I can get some models together. For now though, I'm just going to whip them on off camera, and then I'll show you your lips. Okay, my brows are on. I'm looking more like a human being every second. So now I am going to show you how I do my lips, and then, my chums, we've bloody smashed it. The question I get most of the time about lips is, how do I outline them? So take a nude pencil, even if you're using a red lipstick, a purple lipstick, or whatever lipstick, always use nude because it mimics the shadows on your skin. So what you want to do is start outlining that area first, and then try your best to not outline the cupid's bow too much. If you see, this little white line that we've got here is what we call the vermilion border, and we kind of don't want to mess with that too much because that's what's going to make the lips look really fake. So where this little crease is, I'm following that right along in a diagonal line to my natural cupid's bow. Now go over that a couple of times, just make sure the line is really crisp. Once we've done the top, what you want to do with the bottom lip, it's so much easier to outline because you've got this massive shadow underneath your lip. So this time it's actually the opposite of what we did on the top. So I'm outlining in the I'm outlining in the middle, but keeping to my natural lip line at the edge. Okay, now all you have to do is just grab your lipstick and apply that in the middle. And then I'll just take my finger and just pat over the two to kind of blend those lines together. Then apply your gloss, and voila. So that, my loves, is my face completely done. So yeah, that was my full face of frequently asked questions. I hope that this shed some light on some things that you wanted to know. I hope that it helped you get some flawless skin tips and some tips on your smoky eyes as well. And yeah, that's it from me. So thank you all for watching my first YouTube video. I hope it was informative, and I look forward to my next one. Now this sounds weird to say, but if you enjoyed, then feel free to subscribe to my channel, and I will bring you some more videos that will hopefully help you become the MUA that you are in your heart and in your soul. If you have any suggestions of things that you want to see, please head over to my Instagram. I'm always putting on Insta stories asking your opinion on things, and I'm also about to start my Zodiac Instagram series, so I do some fun things over there as well that you can go and watch and enjoy. But yeah, give me a follow over there, and I look forward to seeing you all in the next. Seeing you all as if I can see you all, I can only see myself. I look forward to the next video. Bye.